Jin-Ho stepped out of the transport ship and looked at the massive structure before him. Harmony Prime was a space station, but it was much more than that. It was the place where all the alien races came to talk and make decisions about the galaxy. The station was huge, with tall towers that seemed to reach into space itself. Lights of different colors covered the entire structure. Jin-Ho had been here many times before, but today felt different. He was a human diplomat, one of the most important people in his job. His people, the humans from Earth, had lived in peace with the alien races for a very long time. In fact, most of the aliens did not think much about humans at all. To them, humans were just another race. They were not powerful like the Krell. They were not ancient like the Vorthak. They were just normal. And that was exactly what Jin-Ho wanted them to think. Jin-Ho wore a dark blue suit that showed he was a representative of Earth. His face was calm and peaceful. He smiled at the alien guards as he walked through the station. None of them paid much attention to him. They were used to seeing humans come and go. Jin-Ho was just another person walking down the long corridors of Harmony Prime. Inside the main council room, the air was thick with different smells. Each alien race had its own smell, its own way of moving, its own way of being. The Krell were tall and red, with many arms and sharp teeth. The Vorthak were purple and had eyes that glowed like stars. The Charan were small and looked almost like insects. There were many others, all sitting around a large table, all waiting to speak about important things. Su-Jin was already in the room. She was also a human, and she worked as a cultural liaison. This meant she helped humans understand the aliens and helped the aliens understand humans. She saw Jin-Ho enter and gave him a small nod. Su-Jin was younger than Jin-Ho, but she was very smart. She understood how the aliens thought. She could read their faces and their movements. This made her very good at her job. Jin-Ho sat down next to Su-Jin. Around them, the aliens began to speak. A Krell named Zorntuk spoke first. He had a voice that sounded like rocks breaking. He talked about expanding the Krell territory. He talked about taking more space for his people. He talked about mining rights on certain planets. The other aliens listened. Some agreed with him, some did not. A Vorthak named Carrion stood up. She was ancient. Older than most of the humans in this room had been alive. She said that the Vorthak had lived in the galaxy for millions of years. They should have the right to choose the best planets and the best resources. Her eyes glowed brighter as she spoke, showing her anger. Then a smaller alien, one of the Charan, spoke about peace. His name was Trillik, and he was not very strong. His people were not good at fighting. So Trillik always spoke about talking and making peace instead of fighting. Most of the other aliens did not listen to him very much. Finally, Zorntuk looked at Jin-Ho. He smiled, but it was not a nice smile. His teeth were very sharp and very white. He said something that made the whole room go quiet. "The humans have some nice territory on the edge of the galaxy," Zorntuk said. His voice was slow and cold. "Maybe the Krell should think about that territory. Maybe we should move closer to human space." The room became very quiet. Everyone looked at Jin-Ho. Su-Jin felt her body become tight. She did not like what Zorntuk was saying, but Jin-Ho just smiled. He smiled the same way he had smiled at the guards. "That is an interesting idea," Jin-Ho said. His voice was soft and calm. "But I am sure the great Krell have plenty of space already. Humans do not need much. We are very happy to stay where we are. And of course, we would be happy to trade with the Krell. We have many things your people might want. Technology, resources, knowledge." Zorntuk's smile got bigger. He thought Jin-Ho was weak. He thought the human was afraid. And that was good, Zorntuk thought. That was exactly what Zorntuk wanted. But Jin-Ho knew something that Zorntuk did not know. The Krell thought humans were weak because humans had never shown their power. For thousands of years, humans had been quiet. They had been peaceful. They had traded fairly with other races. They had built cities and made science and art. But they had never shown the one thing that made them different from all the other races. They had never shown what they could really do. Su-Jin knew this too. When she walked with Jin-Ho back to the human quarters, she whispered to him. "They are getting bolder," she said. "Zorn-Tuk was almost threatening us directly." Jin-Ho nodded. "Yes, he tests the waters. He wants to see if we will fight back. But we will not fight back. Not yet. We will wait." "For how long?" Su-Jin asked. Jin-Ho looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, hidden in the black of space, were human ships. Not small ships, not simple trading vessels. These were military ships, built over hundreds of years in secret places where the other aliens never looked. They were fast and powerful and deadly. But the galaxy did not know they existed. "We will wait as long as it takes," Jin-Ho said quietly. "When the time comes, when they push too hard, then they will learn something that the galaxy has forgotten." "What will they learn?" Su-Jin asked. Jin-Ho turned to her. His calm face did not change, but his eyes were different now. They were sharp and dark, like the eyes of a predator waiting in tall grass. "They will learn that the most dangerous thing in the universe is not what makes noise. It is what is silent. It is what watches and waits. It is what has the power to destroy everything but chooses not to. That is what we are, Su-Jin. We are the silent ones. And one day, when we decide to speak, the whole galaxy will hear us, whether we make a sound or not." Su-Jin understood. The time of silence was not forever. But that time had not ended yet. So they would wait. And the galaxy would go on thinking that humans were weak and peaceful and not important. They would wait, and the hidden ships would remain hidden. They would wait, and when the moment came, the galaxy would finally learn what it meant to awaken a sleeping giant. The alarm sound was not loud at first. Heywan was sleeping in her small home on the colony world of Kepler 47 when the sound started. It was a soft beeping noise, the kind of noise that slowly pulled her out of her dreams. She opened her eyes in the dark room and listened. The beeping got louder and louder. Then it stopped. That was worse than the noise. Heywan jumped out of her bed. She knew what that silence meant. The early warning system had just gone offline. Something bad was happening. She ran to her window and looked outside. Kepler 47 was a nice planet. It had blue sky and green plants and crystal-clear water. About 5,000 humans lived here. Most of them were farming or building or making things. It was supposed to be safe. But now the sky was turning red. Ships were coming down from space. They were not human ships. They were red and black, with shapes that looked mean and angry. The Krell. It had to be the Krell. Heywan's heart started beating very fast. She grabbed a communication device and tried to call her family. But there was too much noise on the line. Everyone was calling at the same time. Everyone was scared. Then she heard the explosions. Not very close, but close enough to shake the ground. The Krell were attacking. They were actually attacking a human settlement. Heywan had never thought this would happen. The humans had always been safe. But now safety was gone. She put on dark clothes and ran out of her home. Outside, people were running everywhere. Some were running to shelters. Some were trying to get to the landing pads where small ships waited. Heywan ran toward the government building. She had been trained for this a long time ago, but she had never thought the training would be needed. The building was full of people. A man named Teo was giving orders. He was the commander of the defense force for Kepler 47. The defense force was supposed to be small. It was supposed to be mostly for helping with problems, not for real fighting. But Teo was talking into his communication device with a voice that was completely calm and serious. "All civilians to the shelters," he said. "Activate the emergency protocols. We are under military attack." Heywan recognized Teo. She had seen him before at town meetings. He always looked friendly and peaceful. But now his face was different. His eyes were focused and sharp. His movements were quick and exact. It was like seeing a different person. "Where is everyone?" HFY asked a woman next to her. The woman was old and shaking. "I do not know," the woman said, "but my daughter is in the South City. The Krell ships came from the north. I hope she is safe." Teo saw HFY. He pointed at her. "You. Are you trained?" "Yes," HFY said. "Pilot training, from 5 years ago." "Good," Teo said. "Come with me." He led HFY through the building and down into a deep basement. Below the ground, there were things that HFY had never seen before. There were computers and screens showing the whole planet. There were weapons. There were armor suits. There were ships on screens too, but these ships were different from the civilian ships. These ships looked like weapons. "What is all this?" HFY asked. "Things that were hidden," Teo said. "Things that Earth has kept hidden for a long time. Come, we need to get you in a fighter ship." "A fighter ship?" HFY had trained in transport ships, not weapons ships, but there was no time to say anything about that. They rushed to a small room with ships inside. The ships were beautiful in a way that was frightening. They were sleek and dark, and they looked like they were made for hurting things. Teo helped HFY into a suit of armor. The armor fit perfectly and felt light even though it was made of metal. She climbed into one of the ships. The inside was full of screens and buttons and lights. Teo's voice came through her headset. "There are other pilots coming," he said. "Follow their lead. You will know what to do when the moment comes. The training is in your head. Trust yourself." HFY turned on the ship and felt it come alive. The screens lit up showing the world outside. Above, in space, she could see the Krell ships attacking the colony. But they were not attacking people. They were attacking empty buildings and empty land. That was strange. If the Krell wanted to hurt humans, why were they not attacking the shelters? Then she understood. The Krell were testing. They were attacking to see what the humans would do. They wanted to know if humans would fight back. The answer came very quickly. HFY's ship and 15 other ships jumped into the sky. They were so fast. Faster than anything HFY had ever piloted. The speed pushed her back into her seat. Around her, the other ships moved like they were one creature with many bodies. They did not need to talk to each other. They just knew what the others were doing. The Krell ships tried to run, but they were not fast enough. The human ships caught them and surrounded them. But the humans did not attack immediately. They just positioned themselves around the Krell ships. Then Teo's voice came through the radio. "Krell ships," he said in a voice that was low and calm and completely without fear. "You are surrounded. You will power down your weapons. You will turn your ships toward the boundary of human space. You will leave now, or you will be destroyed." The Krell were silent for a moment. Then, very slowly, their ships powered down their weapons. One by one, the red and black ships turned and started to move away from Kepler 47. They were leaving. HFY's hands were shaking on the controls. Her ship had not fired a single shot. Nobody's ship had. The Krell had just left because they understood that they could not win. As she watched the Krell ships disappear into space, HFY understood something that changed how she thought about everything. Humans were not weak. Humans were not peaceful because they had to be. Humans were peaceful because they had chosen to be. They were peaceful because they were so strong that they did not need to prove it. The Krell had come to test a sleeping giant. But the moment the giant's eyes opened, even just a little bit, the Krell had run away. And the galaxy, watching everything happen, became very quiet. The myth of peaceful humans had just broken into 1,000 pieces. The emergency council meeting on Harmony Prime lasted 3 hours. The aliens could not stop talking. They asked questions over and over. How many ships did humans have? Where did they get such technology? Why had humans hidden their power for so long? Jinho sat quietly and listened to all of this. His face was calm. He was not angry. He was not excited. He was simply present, like a stone in a river, unmoved by the water flowing around it. "This is unacceptable," Zorntuk shouted. His red face was even darker now, almost purple with rage. "The humans made fools of us. They have been lying to us the entire time. How can we trust anything they say?" "We have not lied," Jinho said softly. Everyone stopped talking and looked at him. "We simply did not offer information. When you asked if we were peaceful, we said yes. That is true. We are peaceful. When you asked if we had military power, we did not answer. That is not lying. That is choosing not to speak about things." A Vorthak council member named Carrion stood up. Her eyes glowed a bright purple color. "The issue is not what was said or not said. The issue is that the humans have power that matches or exceeds our own. This changes everything. The balance of power in the galaxy has been turned upside down." "No," Jinho said. "The balance has not changed. The balance was always this way. You simply did not know it. The power was always there. We were always this strong. Now you know it. That is the only change." Rian was watching from the observation deck above the council chamber. She was a human military strategist, one of the most intelligent people in the human military. She had spent years planning for this moment. She had known that eventually the hidden fleet would need to be revealed. She had known that the aliens would panic. She had known that everything would change. But what surprised her was how quickly the other alien races began to realize something terrible. They were beginning to understand the true nature of humanity's power. The Sharon ambassador, Trillic, finally voiced what everyone was starting to think. His small voice was shaking as he spoke. "If humans had the power to destroy us all," he said, "why have they not done so? Why have they remained peaceful all these years? Why do they still offer to trade with us? Why do they share technology with us?" The room fell silent. This was the question that frightened everyone more than any weapon ever could. Jinho stood up slowly. He walked to the center of the room. Every alien watched him. Some leaned back, afraid. Some leaned forward, trying to understand. "My people have a saying," Jinho said. His voice was quiet, but it filled the entire room. "Power is like fire. If you play with fire and show everyone how you can burn things, people will become afraid of you, and they will try to hurt you before you can hurt them. But if you have fire and you do not play with it, if you keep it hidden and use it only when you need to, then people understand something much deeper. They understand that you are strong enough to have what you need and not use it. That is the greatest power there is." Yeji was waiting in the communications center far below. She was a communications specialist, which meant she sent and received messages from all over the galaxy. She had been very busy since the attack on Kepler-47. Messages were flooding in from every alien race. They wanted to know about humanity. They wanted to understand what had just happened. But Yeji was not answering the messages. She was waiting for orders from Jinho. When the orders came, they were simple. "Say this to all races," Jinho's message said. "Say this in every language, in every way possible." Yeji read the message that Jinho wanted her to send. It was only a few sentences, but she understood that these sentences would change everything. She activated the communication system. Her voice went out to the entire galaxy, translated instantly into thousands of languages and ways of speaking. "Humans have opened our hidden power because we were forced to protect our people," she said in a voice that was steady and sure. "We do not wish for more conflict. We do not wish for war. We wish for peace, as we always have. But from this moment forward, the galaxy must understand this. Humans are strong enough to protect what is ours, and we are wise enough to know that strength is best used when it is not used at all." The message repeated over and over, spreading to every ship, every station, every planet where there were people who could receive it. After the message was sent, something strange happened. The galaxy became quieter. Military ships that had been moving stopped moving. Space stations that had been busy went calm. Even the star systems seemed to slow down. The aliens were thinking. They were understanding something new. For thousands of years, the most powerful races had always shown their power. The Krell had shown it by attacking. The Vorthak had shown it by being ancient and claiming special rights. Smaller races like the Charon had hidden from power by being peaceful and small. But humans were different. Humans had been peaceful, but not because they were weak. Humans had power, but they did not need to show it. Humans had strength, but they used it like a quiet hand holding back the darkness. This was more frightening than any weapon. In the days that followed, many things happened. Some alien races tried to be friendlier to humans. Some sent gifts and wanted to make new trade agreements. The Vorthak did not do this. The Vorthak became suspicious and angry. They did not like the idea that another race might be as powerful or more powerful than they were. But even the Vorthak did not attack, because they had seen what happened to the Krell. The Krell had been destroyed not by weapons, but by the simple demonstration of human power. And more frightening than that, humans had shown that power without even trying very hard. Da-Wan was a young human politician. He was not as old as Jin-Ho, not as experienced as Rion, not as strategic as Tayo. But he understood something important. The galaxy was afraid. The fear could be used in two ways. It could be used to create peace, or it could be used to create hate. Da-Wan began to speak about peace. He spoke in councils and in meetings. He said that humans wanted friendship with all races. He said that humans wanted to share knowledge and technology and resources. He said that humanity would use its power only to protect, never to conquer. Slowly, the galaxy began to believe him. Not because they trusted humans, but because they understood that humans had no reason to lie. If humans wanted to conquer the galaxy, they could do it. The fact that they did not was the proof that they did not want to. The sleeping giant had awakened. But instead of destroying everything, the giant had simply stood up and looked around. And that was enough to change everything. The message from the Vorthak Empire came as a broadcast that could be heard in every corner of the galaxy. It was not a gentle message. It was loud and angry and full of the ancient pride of a race that had existed for millions of years. "Humans of Earth," the voice said, "the Vorthak Empire does not accept your claims of power. We have tested these claims and found them to be exaggerated. You defeated one small Krell force. This proves nothing. The Vorthak have fought wars across galaxies. We have defeated enemies that you cannot even imagine. Therefore, we are claiming 7 systems that currently belong to humans. These systems will become part of the Vorthak Empire. If humans resist this, we will demonstrate true power. You have 3 days to evacuate your people." The whole galaxy held its breath. Even the aliens who did not like humans understood that this was important. The Vorthak were not asking to talk. They were not asking to negotiate. They were taking what they wanted and expecting humans to accept it. Minho was the supreme commander of human armed forces. He was older than Jin-Ho and had less interest in talking than in understanding what needed to be done. When he heard the Vorthak message, he did not look surprised. He did not look angry. He sat in a dark room with a few advisors and asked one simple question. "Do we have the power to stop them?" "Yes," Rion said. "We have 15 fleet groups near those systems. Each group is more powerful than the entire Vorthak presence in this region. We can stop them without any difficulty." "Then that is what we will do," Minho said. "But we will do it correctly." He gave orders to all the human ships near the 7 systems. The orders were simple and specific. Move to the area where the Vorthak fleet was gathering. Take up position. Do not fire, do not attack, simply be there. The human fleets moved with incredible speed. They appeared in the space above the Vorthak fleet like shadows appearing when you turn on a light. Within hours, hundreds of human ships surrounded the Vorthak military force. The Vorthak ships numbered less than 50. The human ships surrounded them completely, but no human ship fired a single shot. The Vorthak commander tried to order an attack, but his pilots refused. They could see that they were completely surrounded. They could see that human technology was more advanced. They could see that if they fought, every single one of them would die in minutes. Then Yeji sent a message. Her voice was calm and patient, like a teacher talking to a child who was making a mistake. "Vorthak fleet," she said, "you are surrounded. Your ships cannot escape. Your weapons cannot reach ours. If you attempt to attack, you will be destroyed in 30 seconds. If you power down your weapons and leave this space, you will be allowed to return to Vorthak territory unharmed. You have 5 minutes to choose." The Vorthak commander tried to contact his leaders on the home world. He tried to get new orders, but while he was waiting, the 5 minutes passed. "Your time has ended," Yeji said. Her voice was exactly the same, patient and kind. "Power down your weapons now." The Vorthak ships powered down their weapons. They had no choice, and one by one, under the watchful eyes of hundreds of human ships, they turned around and flew back toward Vorthak space. The entire galaxy watched this happen, and something very important became clear to everyone. Humans were not just strong. Humans were so strong that they did not even need to use weapons. They were so advanced that they could make enemies do whatever they wanted simply by existing. But that was not even the most important thing that happened. What made the galaxy truly understand human power was what Minho did next. He sent a message to the Vorthak leadership. The message was not a threat. It was not angry. It was almost apologetic. "The 7 systems will remain human territory," the message said. "This is not because we fear you. This is because these systems are where our people live, and we have the right to protect what is ours. However, we understand that your people are proud and ancient. We do not wish to cause you pain or shame. Therefore, we are offering to send you advanced technology. We are offering to help develop 3 systems in Vorthak space that currently have no value. We are offering to create a new trade agreement that will benefit both our peoples greatly. We hope that you will accept this offer of peace." The galaxy could not believe what they were hearing. Humans had just defeated a much older and more ancient race. Humans had shown power that was far beyond anything the Vorthak could match. And humans were offering gifts. Humans were trying to make peace. Humans were treating their enemy with respect. It was the most terrifying demonstration of power that anyone had ever seen. Ari was a young human who worked on a research station far from all the action. She had been watching all of these events happen through the news systems. She had been listening to all the messages and the speeches. And she had started to understand something that many aliens were only beginning to realize. Humans were not powerful because they had weapons. Humans were not powerful because they were smart or fast or strong. Humans were powerful because they were disciplined. They had the power to destroy, and they chose not to. They had the power to conquer, and they chose not to. They had the power to hate, and they chose not to. That kind of power was impossible to fight against. You could not defeat discipline with force. You could not conquer people who already had everything they needed. You could not make enemies of people who treated you with respect even after you had insulted them. In the days after the Vorthak incident, something changed in the galaxy. It was not sudden. It was slow and quiet, like the sunrise. But it was real. The smaller races began to feel safer. They understood that humans were a force that could protect them from the aggressive races. The aggressive races began to realize that attacking was not a good idea. And even the proud races like the Vorthak began to understand that maybe, just maybe, humans were showing them a better way. The Vorthak eventually accepted the offer of technology and trade. It took them several months, and they did it very slowly, but they accepted. They even sent a delegation to Earth to try to understand how humans had become so powerful while remaining so peaceful. Minho sat with the Vorthak delegation and explained something simple. He said that humans had learned over many thousands of years that true power was not about taking things. True power was about having the strength not to take things, even when you could. True power was about building things instead of destroying them. The Vorthak listened. Some understood, some did not. But all of them understood that humanity had changed the galaxy forever. The age of conquest and force was ending. The age of wisdom and strength was beginning. And it had all happened because humans chose to be silent, to be patient, and to wait for the right moment to show what they had always been capable of doing. The new Galactic Council meeting was very different from the old ones. The room was bigger because there were more seats. The lights were brighter, but the most important difference was the respect. When Jin-Ho walked into the room, everyone stood up. This was not because they were afraid of him, although fear was part of it. They stood up because they understood that they were in the presence of a representative of the most powerful race in the galaxy. And that race had treated everyone fairly and kindly. That deserved respect. Da Wan was there as well. He was younger, and his face was brighter than Jin-Ho's. But his role was important. He was there to represent the future of humanity. He was there to show that humans did not want to rule the galaxy through force. Humans wanted to build something new, something where all races could live together peacefully. The first decision of the new council was to create new laws. These laws would make it illegal to attack another race without permission from the council. These laws would require all races to work together to solve problems. These laws would protect the smaller, weaker races from being destroyed by the larger, stronger ones. Many aliens supported these new laws. They had been afraid for so long. Now they could rest. Now they knew that there was a force in the galaxy that was strong enough to protect them. And that force was fair. But not everyone was happy. Some of the old warriors from different races did not like the new rules. They thought about the old days when the strongest race could take whatever they wanted. They thought about how they had been free to conquer and destroy and take what belonged to other people. One group of these warriors began to organize secretly. They called themselves the Resistance. Their plan was to bring down humanity's power. They wanted to prove that humans were not as strong as everyone thought. But they had a problem. They did not know how to attack humans in a way that would work. So they did something foolish. They sent a message to the Galactic Council. They said that humans had become too powerful. They said that the new laws were unfair. They said that they were going to take action. Minho received a copy of this message. He read it carefully. Then he gave an order to one of his officers. "Find these warriors," he said. "Bring them to Harmony Prime. But do not hurt them. I want to talk to them." The human military found the resistance soldiers quite easily. This was not because humans were better at finding things, although they were. It was because the resistance soldiers were not very good at hiding. They wanted to be found. They wanted to be famous for standing up to humans. The resistance soldiers were brought to Harmony Prime. They were put in a comfortable place with food and water. They were not chained. They were not threatened. They were simply told to wait. Then, Minho came to see them. The leader of the resistance was a large alien named Carthun. He was from a race called the Thren, a warrior race that had conquered many planets long ago. When he saw Minho, he tried to stand tall and look powerful. But even he could see that Minho was calm and unafraid. "I have read your message," Minho said. "I want to understand what you want. What are you trying to achieve?" Carthun was surprised by this question. He expected Minho to be angry. He expected Minho to threaten him. But instead, Minho was curious. "We want freedom," Carthun said. "Your laws take away our freedom. We should be able to do what we want." "No," Minho said. "That is not what you want. If you wanted freedom, you would not try to take it from others. You want power. You want to be able to conquer and take things. That is different from freedom." Carthoon did not know how to answer this. Minho continued. "Let me tell you something. I have the power to destroy your entire race. I could give one order and your people would cease to exist. It would take less than 1 day. Your children, your families, everything would be gone. Do you know why I do not do this?" Carthoon shook his head slowly. "Because destroying you would prove nothing," Minho said. "It would only prove that I am stronger than you. But I already know this. Everyone already knows this. What would be more interesting is to show that I am wise. That is much harder than being strong, so I am going to give you a choice." Minho sat down. He did not sit on a throne or a special chair. He sat on a regular chair, the same kind that Carthoon and the other warriors were sitting on. "You can choose to work with the new Galactic Council," Minho said. "You can help us build something good. Your warrior skills would be very useful in protecting people from those who still want to do harm. Or you can choose to continue fighting. But I want to be clear. If you choose to fight, you will lose. And every time you lose, more of your people will be hurt. Eventually, you will understand that fighting is not the answer." Carthoon looked at Minho for a long time. Then he stood up. The other warriors stood up too. For a moment, Minho did not know what was going to happen. But Carthoon did something unexpected. He bowed. "You are right," Carthoon said. "You are truly the strongest, but you are right that strength alone is not enough. You are also the wisest. We will join your council." And so the warriors became protectors instead of conquerors. The resistance became a peace force. They helped protect the new laws and helped the weaker races feel safe. Rian was updating the military records when she heard this news. She smiled a quiet smile. She had known that this would happen. She had studied Minho for many years. She knew that he understood something that most leaders did not understand. True power is the power to make enemies become friends. True strength is the strength to be kind to those who try to hurt you. The galaxy began to change after this. Slowly, very slowly, all the races began to understand that the old way of living was finished. The days of conquest and war and taking what belonged to others were ending. The days of building together and protecting each other and making life better for everyone were beginning. HFY, the pilot from Kepler 47, was given a new job. She became a trainer for young humans who wanted to join the Galactic Protection Force. This force was made up of soldiers from many different races. They all trained together. They all learned to work as one. And they all understood that their job was not to conquer or destroy. Their job was to protect and to keep peace. One day, HFY was training some young Charan soldiers. The Charan were small and not very strong, but they were intelligent and quick. The old Charan soldiers had always been afraid. They had always hidden from power, but now they were learning to be brave. They were learning that even small people could be part of something great. As she watched them train, HFY thought about the day the Krell had attacked. She thought about how scared she had been. She thought about how everything had changed in just a few hours. And she understood that this change was not just about power. It was about showing the galaxy a new way to be. A way where being strong meant being fair. A way where being powerful meant being kind. A way where the greatest achievement was not to conquer, but to make peace.